I'm with Brandy Lawson from Fiery FX. I love your little tiara. It's the first time, I think I might actually let people see my amazement every week. So this is really funny that you have a tiara and I have a tiara because we didn't plan that. That's a flip.
No, I was like, it was an unintentional theme.
Can you see the shirt too, Cindy? I'll jump up and down. So my friend Anthony has a new company called Syndicate Apparel, and when I saw this hat, I said, Anthony, I must wear that on DigitalEvolution next week. So I'm going to put a link in the comments below. Actually, I'm going to probably look while you're talking for a link to put them right now in the comments to Syndicate Apparel if you want one of these absolutely crazy hats. Aren't those cool?
They're very cool.
And the shirt, you see, it's too bad, but I can't get up higher. The shirt's pretty cool too. So, wow, let's just take a second and talk about this ridiculousness that's going on in our world right now. I mean, how are you doing with COVID-19 and being sequestered to home? I mean, other than the amazing headgear that you're wearing this morning and the matching earrings, I love that. How are you doing?
Pretty well, actually. We've been very fortunate to this point that our clients are fairly resilient right at this moment. Obviously, none of us know exactly how long this is going to go on, and we probably are, should expect like 3 to 6 months at least. But our clients that have had to make tough choices, like those who have pet care services, made them quickly. We're helping a lot of what we're helping our clients do right now is pivot their messaging. So not like a hard turn, not like a change lane, but really some of the existing content they had is still good content. It maybe needs to be presented in a different way. There was an article somebody published about when the Great Depression hit, what Post and Kellogg did differently when the Great Depression hit. Kellogg doubled down on advertising and Post pulled back, and we can still see those effects today. Today, Kellogg is still a more preeminent brand than Post. So just kind of helping people. It's like your oxygen mask first. Like make sure that your what's happening between your ears is okay. And if it's not, like figure out what your checklist is to be helping that. So we talked to clients about that. And then how do you continue to serve your audience in a way that makes sense? So that's a lot of what we're doing right now is making sure that people are checking in with their big picture strategy, because the strategy is what people go to when stuff like this happens. It's like the culture, it's like the core values, your strategy. Your strategy is that big framework that you can put different things in. So that's where a lot of it's back to the strategy.
And I think that, and I just posted the post for Syndicate Apparel, which is if you could just search for syndicateapparel.co on Facebook, you'll find the Facebook page. But I also just posted, and so did Anthony Hobson. So I've heard this saying, pivot with purpose. And I think that we should do a hashtag pivot with purpose on this post after it posts, because I think that it's kind of like when the internet happened and people were building websites and they have this idea like, okay, wait a minute, I can stop having a brick and mortar. I can stop doing what I was doing because the internet is going to just fix everything. And people stepped away from what they were doing, and they created these and that was the .com bust. Mm-hmm. They created this big thing that was unachievable in a very short period of time. And I remember being in New York City during that period of time. And that's when my personal training company was my lead driver and my marketing company was my secondary driver. So I had a really cool opportunity because a lot of my clients were .com people. So like Stoli would drive up with giant trucks full of vodka, and people were renting out these ridiculous loft apartments and spaces and office units in the city and just mortgaging their future with these ridiculous loans. And the parties were like insane. And it was all about what was going to happen with this internet. And yes, 100%, the internet has changed the world, but a website and your social marketing is only one component of your plan. And 100%. So if you have a website and you have a social media platform and you have a brick and mortar or you don't, how you market online is more important today than ever, but it's also one component of what you're doing. And the first component is making sure that your strategy is 100% in place with your business. And then once you have that strategy, then you build social media into it. And I think that if the social media had been around during the Depression, you would have seen companies like Johnson & Johnson and Kellogg, who are blue chip companies now. As a financial advisor, those were companies that I was selling. And the reason why was because they had a strategy and they stuck to their strategy. Now they pivoted with purpose in that time period and made the most of a really horrible situation. And I really think that looking back on COVID-19, the companies that step up now in a purposeful way are going to be the ones that come out on top. So we can't just hang out in front of the couch and stop what we were doing.
No.
I mean, as Netflix, 100%, thank you for being there. Okay. But you can't just camp out and watch Netflix for a month. As a business owner, you had a plan pre-COVID. You have to relook at your plan and say, okay, what's the new normal in this period of time? And how am I going to make the most of it? So one of the things that I was doing pre-COVID was taking a look at my social media platforms and taking a look at my everything and saying, okay, here's my brands. Here's what I'm doing. Here's what I was doing. What do I need to tweak and move and shift and build? And so that's really what we're documenting here on Digital Evolution. It's a guide to entrepreneurs, guide to evolving online. So what we're talking about today is, and I'll let you fill people on.
So today we're doing what I'm going to call the social inventory. So last time we talked about the website inventory, like what are all the domain names you have? What are all the websites you have? Today we're getting our arms around your social inventory, and you've done your homework, which means that you went and you found all of your Facebook groups, pages, messenger streams, your Instagram accounts, your LinkedIn accounts, your TikTok accounts, your Twitter accounts, your YouTube accounts. So Michelle had some homework to do to go get her arms around all of this. And so I want to start here because sometimes people get intimidated. I've had clients who come to me who like, I don't know where my YouTube channel is, or I can't find it, or I don't know where my login is. So if you right now don't have a document that has your inventory, I strongly recommend that you start one. And it's okay to baby step this. You don't have to carve out 3 days to go hunt down all of your social media logins. That's not what I'm suggesting.
100%.
Is start a document that you are capturing, and please don't put your logins in there per se, but definitely put your channels, capture what Facebook pages you've created and who owns them and what Facebook, what your profile is, and if you're using Facebook Business Manager, and what Instagram accounts you have. So just start to put what you know there, and then when you find something or someone else figures it out, then you can put it there. So just create the place. So Michelle's done this work. She's put her arms around all of these things.
Can I interject something there?
Yes.
I have a document that has all of my list of my things in it, yes. But I also use an application called LastPass.
Yes.
Okay. So there's these things online. This one happens to be free. It's encrypted, where I've one by one put all of my passcodes in there, so that when I get to the place where I'm like, crap, I can't remember, or the naming structure, the first thing I do is I create a naming structure that has kind of a formula, so that every password I create follows that formula. But every once in a while, that formula is not accepted by the passcode making gods of the application I'm working with. Okay. So I have this thing called LastPass. And if you just, I'm not even sure what you call a password, go ahead and go into your app store and say encrypted password.
They're called password keepers. Password keepers. And quick note on password keepers. Yes, please use one. And maybe you're like Michelle and you have a formula for creating passwords. I don't. I go to my password keeper and I have it generate a random password. And that's what I use when I create all new accounts. And they're always stored in my password keeper. And
wait, hang on a
is
second.
it secure?
Broke up.
So here's the deal. A password keeper is software that's specifically designed. Password keepers is software that's specifically designed for one purpose and one purpose alone, which is to store and encrypt passwords. Your browser will offer to save passwords. It's very nice. Your browser is trying to help. It's not the best place to save your passwords. Please don't save your passwords in your browser. Instead, use an application that's sole purpose is to create and protect your login information and use it there. And if you're like, oh, I haven't started, again, like anything, start with one. Fill it in as you go. Start with one and fill it in as you go. And it's a better way to do it because not all human brains are created for sharing passwords, which means you're using the same one in multiple places, which is not a good practice because if they get one password, they have them all. And Marriott just had a break-in and a compromise of some of their customer data. Now, it doesn't appear that they got passwords or credit card information, but this is not the first, nor will it be the last. Yeah. So take care of yourself, use a password keeper, but make a list of your accounts in a document.
So that organization thing, people think like, okay, I have to have it all organized to get started and every single password in there, and I just haven't got the time. No. One password at a time, one account at a time, and before you know it, over time, you're going to have a comprehensive list, and all your passwords are going to be in your password keeper. Or you have a notebook. I mean, people who are afraid of having stuff online, you could always have a little notebook here. Don't you love what it says?
Yep.
I inject little sayings everywhere in my life because, you know, the what's that little devil that entrepreneurs have that says, holy shit, what were you thinking? You can't do this. Cut it out. Go get a job. Okay. It always seems impossible until it's done. The same thing about passwords. That's where I keep some of my important things.
Very good.
So onward.
So onward. So we have a list. If you don't have a list, start a list, get a list. So let's just, you got a lot of stuff going on. So talk us through Facebook. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Facebook pages.
Right.
7, 8, 9, 10, 11 Facebook groups.
Yep.
And several 11 or 12 messenger streams. So talk to me about your Facebook pages. How'd you get here?
Okay, so the first thing is we have our list in Trello. So Trello is, again, free online app. That's how you and I are staying together. I use Trello for all my project-related management. You can use it for a customer relationship management deal too, but I like to use Trello for project-related management. So I have a list. We have a project called Alliance Fiery FX. That's what we are. You're part of the Relentless Business Alliance. I have a card in there. This is Facebook pages. So I just listed all of them. So Relentless Talk Radio, obviously, you are now on a page. How did Relentless Talk Radio happen? I realized after 3 years of doing interviews with entrepreneurs that I needed to actually have a separate place where my interviews were taking place so that people could go to one place to see my interviews. And I looked at the interviews I was doing and I found that they fell into 4 categories: health and fitness, art and fashion, entrepreneurism, and philanthropy. So I created Relentless Talk Radio as a place to have my conversations. I called it Talk Radio because initially I was planning on going directly to radio and then having it load onto this page. After working with an internet radio station that wasn't in alignment with my full mission, I realized I needed to take back control of my content by shooting live in Facebook using Be Live, which is what you're looking at right now. And then from Facebook, it goes to my YouTube channel and it goes on to a podcast this year because I'm looking, as soon as I get some admin support, we'll be going to podcast. So Relentless Talk Radio is a place where I have all my conversations.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So it seems like you basically created a Facebook page as you had a different content type or you had a different audience that you were addressing.
Yes and no.
Okay.
I created the page because there's so much going on in my personal life that I didn't want all of my conversations to get lost in between Doc and I on motorcycles and me working out and my family stuff and all the crap that I post for that's inspirational.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
So this is a good distinction between profile and page.
Yes.
So over time, Facebook has had rules about how they expected profiles to be used and how they expected pages to be used. And then those rules have evolved. Mm-hmm. So I think a delineation is a great one that you just talked about. So you use your Facebook profile when people are friends with you, they hear about motorcycles and everything you're doing in your personal life. And the thing, like, you just like, it's like being a friend to you and being involved in your day-to-day life. Right. I think that's a great way to think about how to use your Facebook profile. The Facebook pages are designed to be containers for specific topics. In this case, you've got Relentless Talk Radio, your fashion and art, your overarching Micalizzi Enterprises, your yoga, Choose Healthy Change, and Micalizzi Studio. So it seems like you've got the containers, but sometimes we'll create a container and then things will change, right?
100%.
So as you look at your Facebook pages and as you look at your Facebook groups, because the other tricky thing about social is that these platforms are constantly evolving. The rules are constantly changing, and the way that they work is constantly changing. So when Facebook groups were introduced, you could not associate it with a page. You now can have a page, which is this container, like topic or audience container, that you can now associate groups with, which makes much more sense, right?
Right, because like I have Relentless Talk Radio as a page where all my conversations take place, and within that page, I have the Facebook group Relentless Talk Radio Health and Fitness, because those are the people that are interested in learning just about health and fitness. And that's the conversation they want to have. I also have a Relentless Talk Radio Rockstar group. And that's for all the people that have come on the radio, because the reason why I'm having the conversations is to build relationship. So after someone comes on the radio, they get added to that group, which they can choose to participate in or not. And really what it is an opportunity for me to stay in contact with them, but also for them to stay in contact with each other. Because all of the folks that I'm interviewing are relentless business owners or artists or health and fashion people, and they are playing in the same sandbox. So they might want to actually communicate with each other. So I created that group, and I don't post a ton of stuff in there. I just check in periodically. But if they did have a question of their fellow Relentless rock stars, they could post it in there. And I also can let them know about things that I'm doing I think might be relevant to them particularly. So I have that group within Relentless Talk Radio Health and Fitness, Relentless Talk Radio Rock Stars, and that's it right now, right?
Well, and it makes good sense to have an intentional structure. So I think the other thing that has happened with Facebook pages or groups or even messenger streams is that they get started and either there wasn't a clear intention behind them, or maybe none of this is probably forever. Right. So there may be a time, either people have put up time-bound Facebook groups. So maybe it's only for COVID support, or maybe it's only for a particular season or only for a particular promotion. That's totally fine. Set expectations. It's also fine to close a Facebook group or change a Facebook page if its purpose is no longer relevant or if it's time. So,
well, and as
these
far
things
as
are not forever.
Pages, I had a rebranding this year, and we'll get to that conversation when we get to Micalizzi Enterprises. But I think you do bring up an interesting thing. You got the page, which is the over topic. Then you have the group, which is a subtopic which in that over topic. And then you have Messenger. Okay, so Messenger, I do have a Messenger list of all the folks that have been personal trainers that have been on my show. And I have a Messenger group of all of the rock stars that have been on my show. And what I might use those Messenger lists for is if I had like, so here's one of the things is you can turn your notifications on or off in a group. I turn all my notifications in a group off, because if not, I'm in so many other groups, I'd be inundated. So I turn notifications off. What I use Messenger for is just to, if I think there's something really relevant, I want my people to really look at, I'll go into Messenger and say, hey, if you got a chance, go take a look at the group. I have a post about short. Or if there's like a emergency thing, like, hey, you know what, one of my clients just called me and they need somebody that does roofs. Who knows somebody who does roofs? I can communicate with those people specifically, quickly in Messenger. So for me, the page is the subtopic. The group is the page is the over topic. The group is a sub interest level of that topic, and the Messenger is a immediate way to communicate with your people in their inbox.
Yes. And the other caveat I'll put on that is this tends to be very audience specific.
Mm-hmm.
So understanding how the people that you are communicating with are using the platform is really important to doing it respectfully and to making sure that you're engaging them correctly. So thinking when we are making decisions about how we use channels, not only for like how we're using them, but with the content we're putting on them and when we're using them, it's best to take off our own perspective and try on the perspective of the people that we're trying to connect with. And if you don't know, ask.
Yeah, I know.
Because I'm in a lot of places where, oh, go ahead.
You don't want to over communicate Messenger either, okay? Because you want to tell people stuff, but what'll happen is people will stop listening to you because they just can't. So what I tell people that are in Messenger too is turn off your notifications there, okay? If you're in one of my Messenger groups, and then once a week, block off 5 minutes of time on your calendar to go look at Messenger and see if there's anything in there you need to pay attention to.
Right.
If there's anything in Messenger that's like a hot topic, that I'll drive you to the group. Okay. If you want, also, take a look at the group on a weekly basis, like decide what your time commitment is. And I would say that's true for you. People send me a lot of stuff about groups and they add me to a lot of Messenger streams. And I have to triage and say, okay, I only have 24 hours in a day. And is this a good Messenger stream for me to be leaving my notifications on? Maybe I need to be in it and just need to check in once in a while. Or maybe it's something that I need to respectfully say privately to the messenger, hey, listen, I love what you're doing, but I have only so much time, and that this right now isn't in my time triage, but do me a favor and reach out to me in a couple months and maybe it will be, right? So people have lost their manners. Have you noticed that? And it's not only like it's how we communicate with each other, but also if someone like takes the time to include you in their business and in their baby, the thing that they're growing, then be respectful and say, hey, you know what? I really appreciate. I just had someone do that this morning, actually. I sent them a personal message, invited them to something, and they said, hey, I really appreciate that you included me in this. I know this is important to you, and I appreciate being included. I have this part of my business locked down, and although I appreciate what you have to say, keep me posted in the future. I might be interested, right? So remember your manners on pages, in groups, in Messenger, on both sides of the communication, right? That you have to realize people's heart and soul are in their business, and they're not just bothering you. They're reaching out to you and offering you a solution to a problem that you may have that might change your life, right? So just be respectful about it.
Yeah. And to be intentional, sometimes the purpose of it will change. Communicate it. Sometimes it evolves and changes. So let's just take a quick peek at your Facebook pages before we move on. So of your Facebook pages, obviously, Relentless Talk Radio, your fashion and art, your Micalizzi Enterprises, and your yoga and Choose Healthy Change. Like you've already talked about each of those containers. The only one that we haven't talked about so far is the Micalizzi Studio. So what's the purpose of that Facebook page?
Okay, so Micalizzi Fashion and Art is for my art. Well, just for the people that haven't listened in the past, okay? We just wanted to do a summary. So Micalizzi Fashion and Art is for my art, my painting, my visual journalism. Micalizzi Enterprises is my over brand. It's for all of the brands that I have, and it's my parent company, kind of like Virgin is for Virgin Records and Virgin Airlines, etc. Tavas Yoga is where I hold anything that's to do with yoga, and I'll be doing retreats. That's on hold right now. And Choose Healthy Change is where my health and wellness business is. And then Micalizzi Studio is when I have studio tours. So in the past, I have been a member of a studio tour called Hidden in the Hills. And so this year I'm not doing that. But when I do have a studio tour, there's other artists that are in my studio. And so I want to be very intentional about I'm driving traffic to my studio to support these 6 artists. And so when I was in Cave Creek, I would have 5 artists that were sharing my house and my studio in Cave Creek, and we were driving traffic to my house during Hidden in the Hills. So I use the Micalizzi Studio only when I have studio tour visits open to the public.
Well, so very intentional. It's not all the time, but the people that are interested will follow that page, and then when things come up, then you will probably post events with that page, right?
And the reason why I separated it out from Micalizzi Fashion and Art is a couple reasons. One, I wanted to be respectful of the other artists that I was inviting into my studio and not inundate their population with my stuff, right? So here's the part about remembering your manners, right? There's 6 artists in my studio, and I shouldn't be the most important artist in the group. I'm sharing the space. And so in the nature of what's the book there about kindergarten? Everything I needed to learn, I learned in kindergarten.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah,
I wanted to be respectful of the fact that the other artists were equally growing their business. Also, I didn't want to confuse the people that were coming because they don't know my story. So if they come and they see this stuff about me and my visual journalism, my social practice art, and people in the business, and they're like, wait a minute, what is that? I don't understand. And then turn them off because they came to see Joni Walter. She's a sculptor, right?
Right.
So I was very intentional about being respectful to my fellow artists, but also not confusing my public about what the heck was happening during the studio tour.
Great. So I think it's clear that you made choices based on intention, content, and audience to create each of your Facebook pages. Right. And then you're figuring out how your Facebook groups. So, and some of it is like personal interest hobby and more of it is business. Like just, it's okay to have multiple Facebook groups. Just be thoughtful and intentional and respectful about how you organize them and what you put in them, right?
But and are we going over groups today? All of them?
Yeah, well.
So I'm not gonna go over all of them because I have so many of them, but basically, okay, I have groups that are geared towards women, okay, that I'm just doing stuff with the girls. So either there's a dress up, I have a group called the Hot Tamales, and they're people that I've networked, friends of mine, that we get dressed up every 6 weeks or so, and we go out and we date each other. It's a girl date, okay? It's a mass girl date, right? Sorry, guys, you're not invited. It's only for the queens, okay? And then I have groups that are about recovery. I'm in recovery. I'm 20 years sober. I have groups that communicate just about recovery. They're not interested in my business, and my business has no place in those groups. And then I have fitness groups that are about health and fitness and being healthy and working out. Some of them are hiking groups, that kind of thing. And then I have groups that are specific to my business, my health and fitness business, both the people that are users of the things that I sell and the people that are business builders of the things that I sell. So all of those groups have very intentional purposes. So again, I'm being respectful of their time. You're coming here only because you're a member of my team and you want to learn about how you can grow your business. Or you're coming here because you're a woman that I hang with and you want to know what dress we're wearing this month, because we choose colors. And I'm really bummed out because I missed the Valentine's Day dance, the Valentine's Day dance. We had a dinner called the Red Hot we have every year, Valentine's Day. I moved it to March, and now it's like, it's postponed, forever. I'm hoping that we're able to get together for the summer dress thing. So every one of these groups has a very specific purpose.
Yeah, so I think that is when people are considering, do I create a group? Think about who's in it and what it's for. Do I create a separate group? Well, you've had to make that determination a couple times. The other thing with Facebook, with each platform and with groups, is that these conversations, thinking about where people are naturally having these conversations and where they want to hang out. I'm in actually several groups that are no longer on Facebook. We moved to a different platform because people didn't want to be having those conversations on Facebook. So just understanding, like, this is really just key about your audience, the people that are in this conversation with you, being aware of their preferences. Because if you can be providing like the most amazing content in a place, and if people aren't already using it, or that's not where they want to hang out, they're not going to see it. So factor that into your decision making.
There's a lot of different social media platforms. I use meetups for my hiking sometimes when I want to attract people that are not on Facebook. So some older people that just don't want to use Facebook. There's some people who boycotted Facebook because it's a time sucker. So meetup.com is also a great place to do. What other applications are you using?
There's a new one called Mighty Networks, Slack. There's a lot of communities that have started using Slack channels as theirs. I think those are the two most primary ones. Obviously, like Instagram doesn't have a group feature, but LinkedIn has a group feature. And Twitter doesn't really have a group feature unless it's hashtags. So like I guess this is maybe a good segue into choosing channels and how many channels you should be on. And I think it all really ties back into the thread that we've been talking about all along. Who are you trying to talk to? What are you trying to talk to them about? And where are they already hanging out?
Yep.
Because Twitter is very, very noisy. But if you're in journalism or if you're in politics, Twitter.
Right.
But if you are trying to have real in-depth conversations or private conversations, like you need more control, and groups like Facebook groups is still a good place for that. And if your audience is already on Facebook, if your audience is not on Facebook, don't try to create a Facebook group.
Right.
If you're doing B2B, LinkedIn is the primary channel for that. But these are like large guidelines. When we guide our clients, we say, okay, think about your people. Think about where your people are already spending time, and choose a primary social channel and a secondary social channel. Because Michelle is unique in that she's like all over the place.
I get that a lot. I know.
But you also built this. Like, she's not just starting out with a social presence.
I've been building this for a while. Yeah. Well, since I've been on Facebook, really, about 11 years now. I'm like, wow, this is a really cool way to communicate. So but to your point, you cannot do it all at once. You have to, like, I love Instagram, and Instagram is a lag social space for me, only because it's not because Instagram is not fantastic. I have all of my Instagrams saved. I'm posting in there, but I'm not posting in there as regular. I'm not posting in there as regularly. I'm posting in there softly to keep myself active, but I'm not aggressively growing that network right now because I'm spending time in the areas that make sense for me. And I think that's really important. Like, I can't wait to do TikTok. I don't know. I'm kind of torn about TikTok, but I know that I have my friend Alyssa Galazzo, Color My Credit. She is killing it. Her books have sold out. She is literally at the top of her game right now in part because of TikTok. Okay. I don't know. I'm kind of torn about TikTok, but I do know that Gary V, if you don't know him, Google it, Gary V. And he'll tell you that TikTok is like the next best, great, amazing thing. And I believe that he's true, but just because it's the next great, amazing thing doesn't mean it's the best place for me to put my time right now. I need to work on what's working for me right now and then grow from there. I do have a TikTok plan, but it's out here a little bit because I'm only one person. There's 24 hours in a day. I have to sleep, and I do need to pay attention to Doc once in a while. So I can't just work myself into the ground. I have to back up and say, okay, I have a TikTok plan, but it's not yet. I just love this hat. This hat is just the best.
It's so awesome.
It's in the good apparel.
So
awesome.
To your point about TikTok, all right, it is an exciting platform, but
super.
Is it worth spending your time there yet? You've made a very informed decision about where, based on your strategy, based on your audience, because you could like have the coolest TikTok channel ever, but if your people are not already hanging out there, but I will also say
people are hanging out everywhere. But the fact of the matter is, it's just like, you ever been with one of those people? And somebody gave me an acronym this weekend that was really awesome, where they're always looking, they want to be everywhere at once because they don't want to miss out on anything. You know, like, I got to be at this party and that party and this party and that party, and I want to happen at once. You can only be at one party at a time. And that's how I feel about social media. I can only attend 2 parties at a time. You know what I mean? But I can't be at every party at the time at once. It's just not possible. Until I get a team of people like Gary V has working for him that are helping him to manage the infrastructure. But right now I'm a solopreneur, and I like being a solopreneur. So I have to manage, like, you know, what I'm subbing out to independent contractors, which will be the way I work forever. I will never have employees. I will always have subcontractors. But where's it's also a money thing, right? So where's my revenue and my sales, right? And so as my plan moves forward and my sales increase, damn it, okay, then I will be able to hire independent contractors to help me to manage the admin. Because people say to me all the time, Michelle, how are you doing what you're doing? And I'm like, wow, I've got a plan, I've got a structure, and I have a schedule, which leads us to the last thing we want to talk about. We've gone a little bit over, but we do want to touch on this. We're working on right now creating a schedule, and we're using the application is Brain Block. What's the application that you told me last week that we're going to use?
Oh, Social Boo, SOCIALBU.
No, that was the posting. What we're going to do for creating the schedule.
Oh, creating this. Oh, Airtable. Is that what you're talking about?
So I've downloaded Airtable because I'm open. And here's the other thing. Be open to learning. I never heard about Airtable. Yay! I'm thinking I'm just going to do a spreadsheet, but I'm going to try. So I downloaded it last week, okay, and I put it on my holy shit one more thing to learn list. And so I'm going to put Airtable in my list, and that's what I'm going to build my schedule out in. I've been doing it right now based upon just knowing my plan well enough to just post. But what I do when I'm doing my Art of Fearless to doing business projects is I have a checklist of all the things that I'm doing every day. And so now that I've got so many things out there, I'm doing a checklist of when I'm posting, what the intention is, how it's attached to my over mission, and getting very diligent about, okay, I've got an hour and a half to post. Here's what I'm doing, right? So we're going to be using Airtable to streamline that process for me so I can free up my brain. And here's what schedules do, people. It takes a second to get a schedule in place, okay? It takes a minute, just like it takes a minute to get all of your passwords in place. But when you have a schedule, it frees up your creative brain to work on other shit, all right?
100%.
So schedules are freeing. Change your mind about how the schedule is. It's not controlling in that like bad way. It's controlling in a good way, because now you can take the brain that you're using thinking, okay, I got to do this, I got to do that, I got to remember. It's the reason why Steve Jobs and Zuckerberg wear one outfit, because when they wake up in the morning, there's one less decision to make. You do have decision-making fatigue. It is real. It's what causes brain fog in entrepreneurs. When you create a schedule, you diminish and you reduce the amount of brain fog that you can have generally. Do you agree?
And you also create an asset that allows you to more easily delegate this when that opportunity presents itself.
Yes. When I am making the money that I will be making, I can take that little schedule, hand it off to my remote admin or my remote social media person and say, okay, I want you to do this. And when you do this, this, and this, and this, send me a summary email and I will pay you. Right?
Yep.
So it's a tool to get work done, but it's a check tool to make sure that what you're paying people to do. I'm not going to say, okay, I'm going to pay you $25 an hour. What I say to people is, here's a project. Here's what I believe it will take. We can revisit that if it's more time. And this is what I'm going to pay you for that when it's complete. Mm-hmm. Gone are the days of me just randomly paying people for time. No.
So to recap, choose intentionally. Think about your audience. Sometimes social pages or groups or even accounts are not forever. It's okay to have something for a season. Think about your people, be respectful. And then I think if you're getting started out, or if you are even reswizzling and need to refocus, choose a primary channel and a secondary channel. Now you can go just reserve your handle on all of the channels. Great. You go reserve your TikTok handle. Great. Does not mean you need to start posting there. Does not mean it needs to take over as the #1 thing, especially because if you're B2B, the likelihood of your audience being there is pretty low. Maybe I'm wrong, but you got to know your audience and you got to know your people and go where they're already at. And none of us is like Dolly Parton yet. Like if we show up there, not everybody's going to be there. Like you have to go where your people are and meet them where they're at.
Well, that's a good point. We'll close with that. People will say, Michelle, how are you making money at XYZ? And I'll say, well, some things I'm not making money at yet. But if you don't build it, they're never going to come. It takes time to build a social media platform. Every once in a while, you hear about somebody on TikTok or any platform, all of a sudden they got 5 million followers. That's not usually the way it goes. Usually what happens is you're consistent. Every Tuesday at 2:30, I do Relentless Talk Radio. You and I are going to be doing this Digital Evolution, an entrepreneur's guide to evolving online every Thursday at 9 o'clock. You create consistency, and then one by one, you create followers. And the big thing I learned at social media marketing last year was I'm not so much interested in having a bazillion followers. I don't need a bazillion customers. So I'm taking my ego out of how many views and likes. And that's one of the reasons why Instagram has gotten rid of the like, that having people see how many likes you have. Because it's not about having 1 million people like you. How many clients do you need? It's having maybe 3 or 4 times the amount of clients that you need following you on social. Mm-hmm. So we've gone over 10 minutes. We could probably go on for 900 bazillion hours. I love your tiara. I'll see you back here on Relentless Talk Radio on the 3rd Thursday. And we're going to talk about, what are we talking about next week? I'm looking at my Trello board to find out because I can't remember.
No, we made a plan, remember?
My email addresses, holy crap. And I was working at GoDaddy. We're both former GoDaddy employees. People have no idea how important email is. So from multiple perspectives. So next week, we're going to review email addresses. So hopefully we've given you some value and there's something some little tiny nugget that you can gnaw on in this COVID craziness that you can make a change or a shift or pivot with purpose, dang it, in your business. And reach out to Anthony at syndicateapparelco.com and order one of these really awesome hats. They're so cool. Doc has a king one. All right, Brandy, anything else you want to say in closing?
Nope. Just, you don't have to do it how everybody else does it. Do it the way that makes sense for your business and your audience.
That's a great way to end. That's right. We're original. All right. Take care, sister. We'll talk to you. Well, we'll talk to you next week, but we'll see everybody else in a couple weeks. See you later. Take care.
In a couple weeks. Bye.